Hi all. If you try once and you don't succeed, try again. I just recorded this video to its entirety and it involved things that I just had to re-record. So hi everyone, my name is Gem or Gemstone. Welcome to my world. Bling. That's what I imagine when the editing gets to that point. Here we talk about astrology, we talk about life, and today what I wanted to talk about was a whole bunch of things. Well, not really, two main things. The first thing is Mars retrograde in Aries, and the second thing is all the Scorpio energy in the air. That's it from a semantic perspective. The other perspective, which is the one that's more close to us, I wanted to talk about our feelings. I wanted to talk about how you're feeling right now. Now, I recorded this video, it was like 40 minutes long, and I really don't think it needs to be so long. It can get straight to the point because I like to go on tangents. I'm a tangent queen. I love to do that. And I had a few of them, and I don't feel like I need to go into so much depth. Whoever in my house is listening to me, they could probably recite what it is that I'm about to say right now, because I kind of had a pattern. I wrote it out, okay? I took the time, I wrote it out. But what I'm going to say now has nothing to do with this list, and it was more to do with the weather that was happening outside that is not happening now. I want to say this. There's a few messages that are kind of unrelated to even that, which is unrelated to what I want to say. Is that, first of all, life can change in a blink of an eye. Okay, just because you're where you are right now doesn't mean that you can't be where you want to be in the next minute. Honestly, I say this to say that 5 minutes ago, I'm pointing to a window. 5 minutes ago, it was raining outside. Right now, you would not have guessed that it was raining. Understanding that concept can allow you to take some pressure off of your life, because we all think that we have to do this now. Like everything, it's going to take forever. When is that going to happen? It just feels so far away sometimes for us to manifest into what it is that we want. And it can really happen in the next blink of your eye. Being optimistic to that opens you up to the possibility of that being true, because really the weather was just raining crazy in Toronto, and now it looks calm. The sky is pink and purple. Sky's pink and blue. Before it was legit gray. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So for you that is watching this and you have a dream, your dream can happen. It needs your energy and your intention and your consistent action, but it can happen. It can happen. I believe in it. I believe in you because I believe in me. Now, the second thing that I want to say is I was watching other tarot readers, the ones that I like. Sal from Eat, Read. I'm not going to Eat, Read, Love. Eat, Love, Read. I don't know his I don't remember it. But Sal, the tarot reader. I'm going to try to remember, but I'm not going to force myself. Him and Water Baby Tarot are my go-to tarot readers here on YouTube. And I watch their readings and I'm amazed by them. They amaze me. Beautiful readings, their interpretation, their personalities, the way that they express themselves is amazing to me. And I decided to go to their older videos 3 years ago for both of them. And I noticed that what I'm seeing right now is the manifestation, the accumulation of their time that they put in for 3 years. 3 years ago, they were very different than what they are. So I'm looking at it like, if you're looking at people and judging them now, and let's say you are in a position of you're starting something and they're in the pioneer position to where you want to be, understand that time and effort went into what they did. It wasn't because of luck. They worked hard. It's like, oh, you're lucky to get there. No, they sweat, bled, and probably cried. They worked to get where they were. So to you, it's like, if you're in the starting period of anything, realizing that you are starting 3 years from now, someone's going to look at you. And it's not so much the point that someone's going to look at you. 3 years from now, you can look at yourself and see the evolution of what it was that you started and where you are now 3 years in the future. It's amazing. Anything can happen, and 1 second can make that difference. But time accumulated creates such strong, beautiful richness to anything, to most things, if it's done with pure intentions. So that was the message that I felt a few days ago. It hit me in my heart so nice. Like it was so beautiful to be able to see people manifest as they are now and know that they came from something just like you. You came from something And your expression right now is the buildup and accumulation of things that you've gone through your past. And now look at you. Look at you. Do you take time to look at you? Like, look at the magnificent being that you are. 3 years ago, I'm sure you wouldn't respond or react to situations the way you do now. And of course, there's a possibility that you have declined, but so have we. We all decline and increase, or what's the opposite? Incline in other ways. It's just the idea of being proud and happy to be who you are. Scorpio energy. I want to talk about the Scorpio energy first, and we'll talk about the Mars retrograde because we're talking about this. Scorpio energy. Talking to a Scorpio. My birthday was a few weeks ago. No, it wasn't. It was last week. Wow, a few weeks ago. Jeez. My birthday was last week. And I realized through talking to my best friend that our birthday is our new year. It's the time to, like, it's our new year. Or at least this is how I see it now. My birthday is my new year. And that was such a beautiful perspective to see it as. My solar return, I looked at the new year always starting in springtime because things were new. But personally, my new year for me happens on my birthday. Globally, the new year happens in spring for me. So that shift was a lot for me. It felt beautiful. It felt great. And it led me to think about the things that I wanted to see transform in my life, the things that I wanted to grow in my life, the things that I wanted to nurture in my life. And now I want to extend that conversation to you because not only is the sun in Scorpio, the new moon is in Scorpio. Today's November the 15th, and Mercury's in Scorpio. We have a lot of Scorpio energy, and it's in different facets of our life. The moon, which is the newest shift into Scorpio, represents our emotion. I always touch my chest, trying to get to the heart of the matter, the green ray. I'm looking at where I hold my green ray crystals. The green ray of the heart. That is where I see the moon. It's how you feel. It's how you feel. And it's the you that lives in awareness of your feelings. That's in Scorpio. Scorpio, we consider it a time of transformation, a time of death and rebirth, because you die to be reborn again. Things are just dying and being reborn constantly. We can think about the plants, the vegetation outside. We could think about the grass. We could think about the trees that die in the winter, that seemingly die. They go through a death process. It's really a transition. We call it die and death. It has such a heavy connotation, but the purpose is something that we all have a understanding of, but I want to shift that to transformation. We transform during the winter time. When the winter is coming on, the grass starts to lose its color, things start to, fall away, trees start to lose their leaves, or it's not so much lose their leaves as their leaves fall off the tree's leaves fall. And in the wintertime, they are bare and they look like they're dead. The grass, we don't see it. And if we do, it's stiff and sometimes it's yellow. It looks unsalvageable, only for spring to come and for things to look luscious and just alive. And it just shows us that things don't die. It transforms and it goes through this incubate, like this hard hibernation. It's like inactive to active. It's potential, because potential is something that is inactive but existing, to active. It's happening. It's alive and moving. Go from latent to active. That's what happens during these transitions. And it's like, this is happening within us. Something is being transitioned. It's losing, it's falling. Things are falling from it while it exists. The leaves are falling internally from us, from some areas, and maybe emotions, speaking from the heart now, ways that you saw things emotionally, or the ways that you felt things, maybe your past hurts, are falling away from you as you remain, and you're seeing these things from a different perspective. The perspective of like it leaving you, the perspective of maybe you losing it, but that perspective can be adjusted so that it's not a loss, but more of, wow, this was meant to happen. Because when we lose something, there's like me losing a crystal. There's this feeling of, oh, I want it. Oh my gosh. And there's a negative feeling towards it, but when it falls away like a scab, it just falls off. It wasn't meant to be there. And the purpose is done. The leaves' purpose is done. It's done. Because the fruits are off the tree. The apple tree in our backyard, there's no apples left. So the leaves are like, peace out, homie. It was great to the tree, but it's time for us to go and nourish the ground so that you can continue, like, so that we can make more fruit next year. Literally, it turns into fertilizer. That's what's happening to us emotionally. Emotionally, what we once held onto, or what was once, a part of us, is now falling away to nourish the ground that we are in, our emotional ground, so that we can, rebirth, so that we can produce more, we can create more. So emotionally, you might be letting go. Emotionally, you might see things falling away from you. Things that used to matter to you no longer matter to you. It's like you can see it walk away from you. You can see the back of the head of someone that you love dearly moving in the opposite direction from you, and you're okay with that. It's like, okay, and you're standing firm in where you are, and there's no love lost. There's no love lost. So that could be happening. With this Mercury in Scorpio, you might find yourself communicating these feelings that you have. You might also find yourself communicating deeper truths that are within you. You might be finding yourself talking about the deeper side of life. You might be finding yourself listening, because listening is a part of communication. You might be finding yourself listening to people or to your loved ones share these deep, dark truths, and they're dark because they were once unknown to you, not because of the energy. It's dark because it was unknown, and now you're aware. There's light, more light. It's rebirth, the transition. It was dark, and now there's light because and now you might feel closer. You might feel more vulnerable at this time. You might also feel yourself hiding yourself at this time. No, I don't want to share. No, I don't want to feel. I'm going to pretend it's not there. You might find yourself doing that at this time. And with your outward appearance, you might be going, so with the Libra season, not so much with the Libra season, but with Mercury in Libra retrograde, you might have found yourself trying to beautify yourself, or not Mercury retrograde, sorry. When Mercury came direct in Libra that we talked about a few weeks ago, you might have changed your look. Now that look might be under transformation even more. You were beautifying it before, now you're transforming it. You might have done your hair in a certain way, and now you're making it your own. You might find that the way that you see yourself is being transformed. Now you're growing. Like you're a more mature version of who you once were. You are developing, you are changing at this time. These energies tend to be heavy. They tend to be life-shattering and life-enriching, life-creating, because it's a transition from letting go of something to allowing something else to emerge. I noticed that when I purged my room, in the past, I had the tendency to fill up my room again with new stuff. But as the time goes by and I mature, I notice that the purging of my room is meant for me to take up the space, for me to emerge and come out. The reason why I don't want it in my space is because I can feel it energetically. And when I release it, I have more space. I had paintings, like I had posters on my wall because I'm a 12-year-old chick. I had posters on my wall and I took them off. And I thought I was going to put something on the wall, whatever. I'm looking at a bare wall and I have more space to emerge. You might find yourself needing more space to emerge at this time. So here are the symptoms of the sun, moon, and Mercury in Scorpio. Are you searching for your soul? Do you find yourself searching for your soul? Or do you find yourself soul searching? Searching your soul? Do you find yourself doing those things? Do you find yourself feeling more, in your feelings more, and seeing yourself more? And by seeing yourself more, you might be having that dark night of the soul where you realize, oh, wow, I was like that to X person, or I did that. Whew. And have to swallow that truth, that reality, that this is how I was. And this is the pain that I inflicted on this person unintentionally. That my words, actions, and thoughts have power, they have power, they have energy, and that could be felt. And that person or this situation felt it, and I was the wrong one. If you were looking for blame, or I see how I could have grown. Let's see that, because blame doesn't really exist. It's your fault. No, it was meant to happen. But if you receive something like you see fault, then it's more of a lesson. Like I could, or at least I see it that way, that I could, be different next time. I could exhibit this lesson next time. Are you feeling that? Those are the parts of, aside from everything else that I mentioned, I want to just leave it there and not get too deep into that, because I do want to talk about other things and I don't want to spend too much time. But to recap in terms of the Scorpio energy and to get into new moon intentions and what that is, you might be transforming on the outside. Your self-concept might be transforming. Your self-concept to you might be transforming. How you see yourself, your self-concept might be challenged at this time, especially if you're an Aquarius and if you're a Leo. Your self-concept might be challenged at this time. Your values might be challenged at this time. And firming up in your self-concept or allowing yourself to experience something new and learn might be something happening. For those that are water signs, so Pisces and Cancer, you might be seeing different aspects of yourself at this time. Everyone's seeing different aspects of yourself, but you might be seeing different aspects of your emotions. The water signs who are prone to meeting the world with emotion. You might be finding yourself seeing different emotional sides of yourself, getting to know different sides of yourself. Interesting. And those who are air signs, aside from an Aquarius, so Gemini and Libra, you might be experiencing emotion at this time. It might be uncomfortable at this time. Oh my gosh. Why do I want to cry right now? That might be happening. You might be feeling your emotions right now and it might be uncomfortable. And that's okay. Earth signs, Capricorn and Virgo, you might be finding yourself in need of emotional stability, of space to have the earth that you are wet with water. Like you might find that you're too dry right now and you need some water. You might need some watering at this time. So this is the implication of the sun in Scorpio. Emotionally, just everyone might find themselves in their feelings, drowning possibly in your deep waters of emotion. Learning that you can swim in the deep waters of your emotion. You're a deep water swimmer. You might learn that you swim better, deeper in the water, and you're fit emotionally you can breathe. Like you have that. You might find that you're more emotionally stable than you were before. You might find that you don't like water and you don't want to swim. And you're on the shore of the water trying not to get wet, but you're getting cold. And you might find yourself to be experiencing emotionally, you running away from your emotions. And you might find yourself people splashing at you, splashing, because they're going through emotional turbulence and you're nearby. And it's a lot. They don't know how to control it at this time. And you might be being asked to actively listen, asked to be humble and practice humility, practice patience, active listening at this time. And that leads right into active listening because that is communication into Mercury in Scorpio. You might find yourself back to that water splashing. That is more of that energy. People experiencing turbulence and now sharing it. You might hear a lot of people, like, it might seem to you that they're oversharing, but to them, they're releasing something. You might be the one oversharing to somebody else, become overbearing, become too much at this time because you're realizing you held on to so much and it's time to let it go. I can't hold it no more. You might be finding that out at this time. You might be finding that you were talking about the real heart of the matter. Truth matters to you and you're just getting right to the point. No, right to the point, right in it, right away, right now. Truth in it. You might be finding that out at this time. You might be finding that you are doing the opposite. You're talking around it and looking like, do you get it? Do you get it? At this time with Mercury and Scorpio. So Mercury, the moon, and sun. That's that. Now let's talk about Mars retrograde in Aries, okay? Have you been feeling stuck in the summertime? For those on the northern hemisphere, above the equator, have you been feeling stuck? For those below the equator, in the southern hemisphere, in the winter, were you feeling stuck? Were you feeling stuck? Were you feeling uninspired? I'm looking at my notes. Uninspired, unmotivated. Were you feeling your lack of purpose? Were you feeling pressure on that? Feeling like you need to have it. You need to have it now. Geez, I don't have a purpose. Everyone looks so purposeful on Instagram. Everyone use that example. Like on Instagram, like people look this certain way. Instagram doesn't really affect me, so I don't know if Instagram affects you, and you might be one of those that it doesn't, but I'll speak to those that it might affect. You might be on Instagram and see people like going to Tulum. I think everybody and their mom went to Tulum. Am I the only one? Everyone's in Mexico, but you might see that people are in Tulum or people are living their life and they're doing this and they have such purpose. They're ending wars and they're doing this and they're doing that, and all I'm doing is what I'm doing. You might be feeling that way at this time. That's indicative of Mars retrograde in Aries. We're going to get into that information, but what I want to talk about are the symptoms first. You might have been feeling restless during the summer. Like, whoo, okay, now, no. When you try to go, you meet a wall. Oh my gosh, restless. You just want to go. You might find yourself waking up with anxiety. Oh my God. Like you might find yourself doing that. Or might have found yourself doing that. You might have found yourself, because it just came out of retrograde on Friday, 2 days ago. Well, it's Sunday right now. So you might have been in that energy, still in that energy, maybe emerging into that energy, hitting brick walls, going nowhere, running, chasing yourself. You might have been bubbling with ideas, feeling your purpose more than ever. I'm going to sip some water, not soup today. Giving eye contact while drinking water. Interesting. Oh, okay. Fetish. I'm kidding. But you might have been feeling your purpose more than ever, where it's unbearable. Oh, I have to spread the word of me. I have to share with everyone. Have you found out about Jamira McPherson Valentine? I need to tell you about her. I need to tell you about me. And you might have been feeling so purposeful at this time that you just need to share it. You might have, or let me ask it in a question. Have you been reflecting on how you do things? Have you been reflecting on how you approach situations? Have you been reflecting on how you deal with situations? Like how it is that you deal, how you deal with the situation. That is indicative of Mars retrograde in Aries. Have you been finding yourself in ego traps? What is an ego trap? A trap where your ego, your persona, is triggered by something that someone else said or a situation. And now you're trying to show, look how good I am, the best. That's an ego trap. I'm the best. Or I'm the worst. Both require the energy from other people. One is the admiration. Oh, you're so good. And the other is the sympathy, not empathy. Oh, you poor little baby. Oh, you're not good. Do you want a cookie? Do you want me to hold you? Those two energies. That's an ego trap. Where you cower or you puff out. Have you been realizing that you need to release your energy and you don't have an outlet? That kind of goes to the restlessness, but really realizing so much for the purpose. The purpose could be even seen as the outlet, because that's really what it is. Cling! I just had a eureka moment. A light bulb is above my head. You can't see it, but it's there. That's the eureka moment. You might be finding now at this time that you don't have an outlet for your energy. You don't have an outlet. That is indicative of Mars retrograde in Aries. So let's get to it. Retrogrades, as we mentioned, recap. Feels like magic school bus. Retrogrades are when planets look like they're moving backwards, but they're just moving slower than they were before. A retrograde is only compared to... Okay, so back it up. We're going to back it up a little bit more. If you back it up, I'm thinking about that TikTok song. There are two motions of a planet. We got direct, it's moving at its direct velocity. And then retrograde, it looks like it's moving backwards, it's just moving slower. Retrograde and direct energy or motions can only be compared to each other. So retrograde is slower than direct. Direct motion is faster than retrograde. That's what I wanted to say there. Retrogrades can be seen as a time to reflect and a time to purge. Now with Mars, the planet. So Earth is here. On one end, we have Venus, the planet of female femininity. And then we have Mars here, the planet of masculinity. Earth is in the middle. These two planets have a strong influence on Earth because they're planets right beside Earth. Mars going retrograde affected the beings on Earth and Earth itself. During this time, everything went into lockdown here in Toronto. Like during this time, the lockdown got solidified. And that's when active action was no more. Quarantine, yes, we have this whole global thing happening, but astrologically, energetically, it was time to slow down. So perfect timing. At this time, the lockdown was more official in Toronto and Canada. And now everyone's like stuck inside. People are watching Netflix. People are gaining weight. People are eating the best. When I used to go for walks, I smell bacon outside. Okay, I never used to smell bacon outside. I smell the full platter. Bacon, pancakes, hash browns. I smelled that walking down my street. Never have I smelled that because people are chilling at home doing whatever they're doing. People were gardening, doing all these things, outlets for them to release their energy, cooking, doing these things to release their energy at that time. But I also saw people struggling. I saw people, it was more when talking to them, they were struggling emotionally. They were struggling. They wanted to be with people. They wanted to do this. They wanted to go to the gym and they couldn't go to the gym. And they had to deal with that feeling of shifting to now walking outside and doing this and doing that. There was a shift in the way that they released their energy. So Mars, back to Mars, has a strong influence on Earth. Mars is hot and fast. Hot and fast. Now. Mars energy is the planet of action. The god of war in Roman and Greek times was Roman, Mars. Aries, the god of war, is that energy of right now. There's no planning. It's right now. Procrastination, yeah, right. But that's the lower end of Mars energy. You can definitely procrastinate. But it, in its high side, it's restless and anxious and it needs to do it now. It needs to do it now, and it's accident prone because it needs to do it now. A good example of Mars energy is road rage, where you're enraged by people moving too slow. And then now you want to chase down those person. You want to drive them down and give them the finger, or you want to drive them down and talk to them, roll down your window and get into an altercation with them and find yourself in a car accident. That's Mars energy, accident prone, because during those times when you're moving fast and you're hot, full of passion, full of aggression, full of anger, full of now, you're not thinking about the future. You're thinking about right now. You're thinking about your pleasure right now. You're thinking about what you can get right now. And then also you're not looking around. You're just thinking about yourself, instant gratification right now. No thought of the implications of what your actions, thoughts, or words will lead to afterwards. Mars people, Aries, tend to be quite loud. They tend to be, loud. Look at me now. Tend to be loud. Cursing is also indicative of that, because cursing is a form. I look at it as impatient. When I cuss, it's because I'm impatient, or I'm trying to get to I'm passionate. Honestly, it's like impatient or passionate. Or honestly, I hurt myself. Geez, all these energies. Why do you cuss? Why do you cuss? Let us know down in the comments down below, because that is a perfect example of Mars energy. Now, what? Now. Excited, but it can also be excited, like, oh, it's my birthday. Oh, now. What am I gonna do? What are we gonna do? It's so ready. And the readiness could be fun, or it could be anxious. So Mars is fast and hot. And that heat, passion, aggression, mean words, rude. Let's say rude. It's usually rude and it's uncalled for. It's usually uncalled for. I find that Aries are low blowers. They will punch you so low because you said something that was honest, truthful about them. The reason I say this, and it's not to diss any Aries, it's just my own. I have dealt with many Aries, and I've noticed this thing where Aries, their self-awareness is developing. If we look at it as, if we see astrology for a moment, the wheel as it's starting in Aries, although it starts at any sign, we're just going to, for this moment, look at it starting in Aries. It's like the development of a baby. The baby is born. And let's say it's the baby till it's 2. It's in the 2 phase where it's mine. Instant gratification is its thing. And the self-awareness is awareness of its pleasure. It's awareness of its inconveniences, like of its pain. Okay. It's awareness of its pleasure and of its pain. And through that, it only knows what it wants and knows what it doesn't want. So the awareness of it beyond that is not quite vast yet. It's not developed as much yet. So they tend to react when told something that they don't like to hear. And us the same way during this energy. So you might, when you were in ego traps, been reacting to something that was true, but caught you off guard, and you felt that that person was dissing you when they were just telling you about yourself from their perspective. And instead of possibly hearing what they had to say or respond to the situation, it's no, you're ugly too. Your mom. Your mom. So that's indicative. Okay, wait. So that's Mars energy. Now to the genealogy. Let's go to ancestry.com for a moment about the planets. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and its home is in Aries. So right now it's at home. It's chilling in its environment. Aries people are just like, what? This is our time. Although the sun is not in Aries, it's in Scorpio. Also, Scorpio is half ruled by Pluto and Pluto and Mars. So there's a lot of fire energy in the cosmos just by virtue of Scorpio being involved in 3 different planets, or 2 luminaries, the sun and the moon, plus the planet Mercury. There's a lot of fire energy in the cosmos right now. And to the Aries, it's like, I'm at home. I can be myself. And for those that are Capricorns and Cancers, you might find this time to be challenging. You might find this time to be exceptionally challenging in the way that you do things. You find yourself really adjusting, like, you have to adjust to how you do things, because this is not, it creates a square. This is not how you usually do things. There's an adjustment that needs to happen. But for all of us during that retrograde, you might have felt yourself slow down. Now, for those that were MacGyvers or maneuverers, you may have found, okay, so I can't go out, because I found this in the retrograde, in the quarantine, that there were a great deal of people that didn't try to focus on outwardly using their energy. They went inward. A lot of meditation happened for me. A lot of inward reflection happened for me. A lot happened inside. And you get to move all that you want, but internally. And that is a good use of that energy, where now you can still move, but now you're reflecting. That movement is in reflection. I rub my chest all the time. I talk about reflection. Anything regarding the heart, you're moving here. So you might have found yourself reflecting. Now, I have this list, and I'm just going to continue. I'm going to take my mind off of the list and just go on. At this time, with Mars direct in Aries, it would be an amazing time for you to start planning what you want to do. Critical thinking is planning. It's action with thought, like it's action with planning. So this would be a great time for you to think about what it is that you want to execute, and then work towards executing it versus just going off of a whim. That's great. Weighing things is great, but it's usually a worst case scenario type of situation. If you can plan, just even have an idea, even a list that you're going to put away to the side, makes things a little bit easier, creates structure and organization. And now to talking about structure and organization, I want to talk about, we talked about aspects. This is the communication or the interaction between planets. I want to talk about the aspects of Mars in Aries and Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn right now is at home in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Capricorn is the limited, or let's look at the ring around Saturn. It could be seen as a limiting, restricted, confined, imprisoned energy of, oh my God, I have to follow the rules. I have to do everything by the book. Authority means so much to me because they tell me what to do. They give me structure. I need structure. The other side of it, or the more harmonious side is, let me find structure for myself and do what feels right to me. Productivity is really serious when it comes to practicality and producing practicality for the sign. That came to mind, but let me continue down the more healthy, harmonious side of Capricorn and Saturn energy. It's like, let me make my rules. Let me determine what is a good time frame for this, as opposed to doing what the powers that be say. Let me do what feels right to me. I feel at this time that a lot of people could have lost their jobs and realized, you know what? All right, let me make my own. People could have left their jobs and said, you know what? Let me make my own. Let me create my structure. And then there are others that are stuck. Now the structure is up in the air. Life is different. And it's like this new normal. What am I going to do? And you're stuck now. I mentioned this because astrologically, we talked about square earlier. It creates a square. Mars in Aries creates a square with Saturn in Capricorn. And what this does is it creates tension between the idea of productivity and the idea of releasing, of purpose. Mars and Aries energy is purposeful. It's inspirational. It has the drive, or it has the initiation of the drive. And usually the drive doesn't last. It's more of the spark, if you will. It's the spark, the spark of action. And now with Capricorn, it can have longevity, but there's an adjustment that needs to be made so that things align. And the adjustment is productivity. How do you define productivity? How do you define productivity? Is it by how many products you produce? Is it by how many hours you clock in? How do you define productivity? Especially to those that are not in line with their purpose right now, or feel not in line with their purpose. Again, or I didn't say it in this video because I've recorded this a few times, but your purpose, you're doing it regardless if you see it or not. It's happening. Your connection to it will happen as you become more present and more aware of yourself, but your purpose is always there. So for those that are unaware at this time of their purpose, how do you define productivity? Is it from them? And the them is just who determines that for you? How could you define productivity to yourself? Because maybe that could be a way for you to determine your purpose. Your productivity, how do you feel fulfilled? When you go to sleep at night or day, night shift, early shift, whenever you go to sleep, what makes you feel good inside, where you can fall asleep very easily? You had a good, honest day's work. What creates an honest day's work for you? Is it by doing X or, what is that for you? Determining that for yourself will help you find your purpose, because that will be led to you doing things that you enjoy. Your purpose is related to things that you like. Your purpose is something that you enjoy. It's something that, like, just to break it to you, your purpose is not something you have to discover. It's something that you like to do. It's something you like to do. Something you like to do. I noticed that. Most people living their purpose, they're doing what they love. What do you love? And if you're not in a space of love, what's blocking your love? What's blocking your love? What's blocking you from being loving? What's blocking that? I know for me, to be vulnerable for a second, it was, my chest got tight. Scorpio being vulnerable to a camera that can be seen, this video can be seen by anyone. But what was blocking my love was the fact that I am in love with someone that I am not in harmony with. And that was making me feel so sad inside. Oh, it made me feel so sad inside for so long. Feel so sad. Like, we're not in harmony and I love you. What am I going to do? How am I going to continue? So I thought, okay, let me just shut the heart down. It's okay. We're good. We're just going to close it down. It's under construction. Please go around. But in life, especially in the life that I live, meeting with the heart is necessary. So I had to open that up and feel all that pain and start pulling the swords out of my heart. I'm going to go through the tarot deck to show you the card that I'm trying to exemplify. But what's blocking your love? Because that is blocking you from your purpose. It's blocking you from finding what it is that you love to do. So I mentioned productivity because now people might find themselves, there's a connection between Saturn and Mars where people might find themselves waking up with chest pain because they're anxious to produce something, because they're allowing your productivity to determine your purpose. It's not like that. They're connected, but they're not the same. You can connect them, but they're not the same. This is the card that I'm talking about. I'm pulling the swords out of my heart. Oh, pulling one by one. Oh my gosh. I'm publicly talking about love, my love, for example. This is a pull. Now I have 2 swords in my heart, just 2. But pulling those swords out of your heart will make it easier. Look how long this video is. It'll make it easier for you to connect with your purpose. So I want to get to the end of this, really seeing that it's quite long. Your purpose and productivity are different. What makes you feel good inside, good to go to sleep, you can end your day right now, is related to your purpose. That's something you enjoy doing. For those that are feeling anxious right now, needing like a long to-do list, I'll give a quick example. Last week, I decided, Jem, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. because I wake up at 7. I'm going to wake up at 6 now. I'll have an extra hour to do this in the morning. La, 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 la. Yo, this is why I look the way that I look right now. I'm tired, That, if you couldn't tell. And if you couldn't, yay. But I'm tired. I shifted from 7 to 6 plus that daylight savings time. Felt that. And tired. Why? Because I was like, you know what? Productivity. I can get so much done. I can write a blog post. I could do this. I could do that. Let me just tell you that I wrote 1 blog post. I had in my calendar. I have 3 that I was supposed to be done by like 2 days from now. You're right. Okay. You're right. I had to adjust my expectations. And by adjusting my expectations, I got to see what it is that I like to do. And then by doing that, I got to see, what is my purpose? My purpose is to what? Be myself. And my why is so I can experience it. Why I make these videos is because I'm being myself. I'm developing my intuition with my tarot readings. And in these videos, I'm being myself and I'm allowing myself to do that. I'm experiencing myself. And this is allowing me to allow people to be themselves around me too. So in conclusion, I'm going to go from what we just talked about and then to what we talked about in the beginning. Now would be a great time for you to figure out what productivity means to you. Now would be a great time to determine if you have anxiety and what is it rooted in. Is it rooted in releasing the energy that you have inside of yourself, Mars, or is it related to you executing something and needing to produce something, or else, Saturn? Are they connected? How can you connect them? How can you find purpose meets productivity? That's nice, PP. Purpose meets productivity. Mars, were you feeling stuck? Were you feeling unmotivated, purposeless? If so, you can reflect on, are you feeling that way, I should say? You can reflect on how you do things. You can reflect on what motivates you. You can reflect on what you want to do, what your intentions are with this world, why you do what it is that you do, everything that you do. You can reflect on how you do things to make it simple. For those that were restless, moving, and hitting walls, what was motivating you? Again, what was your intention? And can you plan? Can you start to implement a plan so that you have structure? More Saturn energy, blending Saturn with Mars. Two things that are kind of a square from not so much the planetary perspective, but the signs, Aries and Capricorn, square. How can you blend those energies together? They're meant to incite change. That friction and tension is meant to incite change. So how can you do that for yourself? Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio stellium. Stellium is when you have 3 or more planets or luminaries in the same sign, 8 degrees apart. We're currently in that energy right now, November 15th. I'm going to post this video so that you can see this during this time. New moon intentions. What do you want to transform at this time? What do you want to birth into this world at this time by letting something leave you, releasing something? What do you want to bring into this world right now by releasing something and allowing it to fertilize the ground that is going to birth that new thing, emotionally, physically, and communicatively? How can you work on listening more for those that talk a lot? How can you work on expressing more for those that are silent, body language, words, thoughts? How can you work on listening more? Expressing more. How can you be more vulnerable? How can you access your emotions a little bit more or less? Be more in control of them for those that feel overwhelmed by them. And to the new moon, I mentioned that before. This is a good time so you can judge your month from right now. New moon to new moon, November 15th, December 15th. This is just arbitrary time frames, but it would probably be around the 15th or the 16th or the 14th, 13th time. What would you like to grow between now and let's judge it from 6 months from now when there's a new moon in Taurus? What would you like to grow? Like, what would you like to plant the seed? Like, what would you like to transform to reborn? What would you like to do? So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like it. If you enjoy this kind of content as well as tarot readings, don't forget to subscribe. And if you felt compelled to say how you're doing, if I asked in the beginning of this video, if I didn't, how are you doing? Please write how you're doing. And if you got here, I watched this girl, Lizzo. Is her name Lizzo or Lizzie? She's an amazing culinary chef on YouTube. Jeez, what's her page called? I know her name is Lizzo, I think, or Lizzie. She is phenomenal. And what she does is, like, if you got to this point, put an onion emoji. So if you got to this point, put a fire emoji. Put a fire. I laughed at the idea that there will be none, but that's okay. Put a fire emoji if you got here. 43 minutes and 43 seconds. What? Enjoy the rest of your night or day, week, and I'll see you next week. And also in your general readings that I will be posting when I post them for December. All right? Take care and be well.